Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Seven Figure Entrepreneur. I'm Tyler Devin. Gabriel, you want to say hi?
Hello, hello. Another week, another podcast. We're going to crush this one.
That's right. Actually, the next guest, I think you guys are really going to enjoy. He's someone who I would consider pretty much a serial entrepreneur. That's because his companies do so many damn things. He's got an affiliate network. He's got a solid email and data monetization company, which you guys listen to our interview with John and Shakri, you know what that is, and as well as Ben, actually. He also owns some affiliate offers in our space. He's involved in radio advertising. I think he's got a call center. He has a jet ski company. We even have a project together. Bottom line, he makes money online like a dozen different ways. Very well connected in this industry. He's personally helped me a lot on a lot of stuff. So I thought he'd be a great guest to bring to this podcast. So with that said, I'd like to introduce Jeff Roach. Jeff, you want to say what's up?
Yeah, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Really excited to be talking to you guys. Obviously, Tyler, any chance we get to talk is exciting. So,
Absolutely.
Meeting Gabe today, really pumped about that. Finding out we have a lot of mutual connections and get to spread out and meet new people. Love it.
Absolutely.
Actually, did I meet you in Florida? I forget. Yeah.
Actually,
we met in Florida.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. We didn't get to talk about our boy down in Florida.
No, we didn't.
Unfortunately.
We didn't. Always a good topic.
Absolutely. So to get started, Jeff, do you want to give people a little intro of that? I guess that's my perspective of you. Do you have a different one, or how do you generally go about it?
No, I would say that's pretty accurate. We definitely left a few things out.
I figured.
Maybe don't, might not necessarily be obvious to people in our space, but I'm involved in a number of things online, have been for about 13 years. Bit of a data junkie. Everything that I do ties back into data analytics and predictive analysis, and really, being able to establish one-to-one relationships with customers. And, that's something that has allowed us to spring out into other opportunities from, we're involved in tax accounting, we're involved in RIA.
Do you want to explain what that is?
Yeah, an RIA is a registered investment agency. We handle a number of people's retirement portfolios. We have currently 8, moving well into 9-figure management over there. Work with a number of professional athletes in the NBA and the NFL, and just really interesting stuff, and applying the knowledge that we've gleaned over the last decade or so, into things outside of just trying to sell product online and generate leads online. There's a whole other world out there, and I feel like there's a major opportunity for people that are paying attention to take advantage of what you're doing on the marketing end and spreading out into other opportunities, because it's just all so relevant, and the vertical integration opportunities are so immense. So I'm sure we're going to get into more of that throughout our talk today, but really I'm down for anything that can benefit from a good data analytics and a good strategy built around data and built around the things that you can actually see and feel and touch.
Makes sense. One thing I think that Jeff's done a great job of, every time I go see his operation he's down in West Palm, or actually you're in Jupiter now, right?
Yeah, we're headquartered in Jupiter. Most of our operations and finance team is down there, Jupiter, Florida. But our engineering and analytics teams are based out of Boston, the Boston area. And then next week, we'll be opening our business development office in Pittsburgh. So it's another exciting development.
Yeah,
I really liked your office down there. It was great, man. It's a great little compound.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff, that's one thing he's done is there's a lot of people, they have the online business and they work from home, and everyone's kind of like more or less a satellite office, which just means everyone else works from home. But Jeff is like a fully built out company. He's got like, how many office spaces do you have just in Jupiter down there alone?
Well, four separate units. You have we have about 2,500 square feet dedicated to an operations team, more of the open concept, highly collaborative concept. Big conference room, kitchen, all that stuff. Upstairs is finance and our radio business. In one of our units upstairs, we're in the middle of the build out in our other downstairs unit, which will mimic the one that's there now, which will house a few executive offices as well as the jet ride team, which is a super exciting project that's housed right here in docks in the downtown area in West Palm. We're down in Boynton. We're up in Jupiter as well. So that office will be based there. And then obviously my pleasure center, the other unit upstairs, we have our jiu-jitsu facility and out room and all that. So it's a nice little spot. It's a good place. We're already outgrowing it, unfortunately, and looking at other things. But it's been an exciting time, and we like to build a fun culture, a place where people can come and be comfortable, enjoy themselves. I love working from home. I'm working from home today, but there is a time where it benefits everybody to be housed in the same place, and in different parts of the operation, perform better that way.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. That's actually a direction we're going to be going this year with a lot of stuff as well. And I think in some respects, you probably inspired that for me, because every time I go in there and just seeing how people collaborate and work together, and I find the one downside of people being remote and people being online, as much as it's a good thing from there's no commute and people can wear their pajamas all day. I think a lot of things get lost in communication, just because you're communicating through Skype and through different avenues like that. It's just really hard to beat that in-person touch point,
100%. Yeah, I mean, and that's really why we're branching out into other parts of the country. Our CRO is based out of Pittsburgh, who for the actual family of digital companies that all reside under the one umbrella. Yeah. Matt Burnett, our chief revenue officer there, he does a phenomenal job, and he's incredible. But it's tough sometimes, especially when you're in the middle of a big push or a big revenue run where you just don't have all your people around you. Things happen a little slower, a day behind, whatever. So we want to create more proximity for the folks that are on the same team, and we send people to the other offices as well. From Boston, we have people down at least 1 week a month, and then people from Jupiter head up there, and now again in Pittsburgh. And nothing beats that human touch. I mean, Tyler, with our project, you know it. When you come to town, it's like we get a month's worth of work done in 3 days.
Absolutely.
Just from the proximity. So I think it's important, but it's also too, what lifestyle do you want? I feel like, there's a lot of people out there that if they went out and tried to do what I'm doing, for myself, it wouldn't work for them. It wouldn't be comfortable for them. Me personally, I've, a bit of an obsessive compulsive way that I do business and approach my work every day. So, for me, having the proximity to everybody and being able to be on top of things and see who I want to see when I want to see them is very important. But I'm trying to build something that I think is a little more substantial than, what I wanted to build 5 years ago. And I think if we were talking 5 years ago, it'd be a much different discussion than we're having today.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. I think, the biggest question I have is you have so many companies, so much stuff going on. How the hell do you make it all happen? And I think one thing that'd be kind of interesting from the audience's point of view is how did you get started in this whole thing?
Getting started was just one of those circumstances in life. I was a college baseball player. I was playing at a small Christian college down here in Palm Beach Atlantic University. I punted on a scholarship to a couple of different Division I schools, to stay close to home. And I was having a great time there and doing really well. And I had a catastrophic injury. And, when you spend your entire life dedicated to an individual craft and it all comes crashing down at once, and then there's nothing glamorous about it. I talk to a lot of young athletes today, and even the guys at the highest levels, and make sure to make it a point that be prepared for other things in life, because it's going to end. And for the vast, vast, vast majority, it ends unceremoniously, and there's no ticker tape parade, and you're shuffled out of your sport. And I got really lucky. My friend Jay Davey, who's now out in California, is an LPGA tour caddy. He was working as a phone fronter at a call center that was pitching CPM email marketing. Back in 2003, I got an opportunity to go.
Do you mind explaining what that is for people?
CPM email? It's performance email, but the advertiser pays on a cost per thousand basis as opposed to for the particular action, be it a lead or sale or whatever that may be. But that was an interesting time back then. That's what everybody did. It was mostly all CPM business. Now it's more of a performance-based business on the email side. But I got an opportunity and to just be on the phone. I was always interested in sales. Even, when I was playing baseball, I eyed sales as a potential career opportunity when I was done. And I took a semester off from school and just really excelled and stayed with that company for 8 years. Never went back to school. We made a little play on a social media analytics tool in the late aughts, 2010 timeframe. Went all in on it. It bombed out, unfortunately. We had a good opportunity to make a ton of money, but we made a couple mistakes and lost everything behind that deal, and just bounced back. Started consulting, and started a new email company about 6 months later, and met my partner Travis, who's now my business partner in all of my entities, and he was just a wild man. He was doing the daily deal site at the time, and that's actually a funny story. I think I told you this when Tyler. We went to the Daily Deal Summit in 2012, and it was just a bloodbath. Everything the market was saying is that all these companies are screwed, and they were. So Travis was like, "Hey, we need to get out of this thing. I want to get into your old email business. How do we do it?" And I let him talk me into going back at it again, and yada yada yada. Here I am. Pulling my hair out again, being a wild man entrepreneur. When I thought those days were behind me, I thought I was going to chill and consult a little bit. But again, not everybody's built to just chill and make a few bucks and enjoy themselves.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, man.
Amen.
I'd say we've even had this talk before, like, if we ever made a big exit, and you're probably maybe more open to this than me, but I don't know that I would just sit and do nothing, that I would just retire. I think it's just so much in me now that I would find something new to do and something new to like obsess over and work on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, here's the interesting part, and this is just for me in my life and my experiences, having been a multimillionaire and then flat broke inside of 18 months, gave me, I think, a unique perspective that a lot of people don't really get an opportunity to experience. And, the one thing that I realized was no matter how much money I had before and how little money I had at that time, my life was exactly the same. Like nothing was different. Okay, I can afford to buy a nicer watch. I'm not a stuff guy. I never did anyway. I could afford to fly first instead of coach. I could afford to drive a $100,000 car instead of a $30,000 car. And when you strip all that stuff away and you just look at your life, it's about happiness and what do you want to do. And the thing that, I realize is that shit, this is what I like to do, so the money and the stuff and the glamour and the showy fancy stuff that, a lot of people think that they're in it for, those people are in for a rude awakening because it does nothing for you. It really, and it's quite meaningless in the grand scheme of things. And, I'm fortunate. You can't put a number on that experience that I had and having, started to reach what many people would consider a mountaintop and then have it all taken away instantly. It just made me realize that shit, I'm still happy. I'm still doing what I want to do. And, this is just it's an obstacle and that's it. And that's that's what people have to understand. If you're going to be in business and you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're going to go after it, just understand that if you're in it for stuff, you're fucked. It's not going to work. You got to enjoy yourself, and you really do have to just be a killer and enjoy getting up every day and doing that. So, that's my 2 cents on that piece. And yes, I don't think that even when we exit this business for 9 figures, Tyler, neither one of us are going to be done doing what we're doing.
I tend to agree with that for sure. So it's interesting. All right, I'm just going to make a quick point here.
Yeah.
I was listening to Gary Vee today, and he was saying pretty much something along the same lines as far as he knows people in Silicon Valley that have hundreds of millions of dollars of cash in their bank account, and he's like, they're completely like destroyed people. They're unhappy, they're lonely, even though they have everything in the world. Where he's like, I know guys who make 47 grand a year. They take 2 vacations that they completely budget. They scrape every penny they have together, but they're the happiest people they know. Their work-life balance is on point. They're making their health a priority, and there is definitely a toll it takes being an entrepreneur. It's not as shiny as it always looks on the outside of things. There's all sorts of disasters that happen on a daily basis, and in some respects, sometimes I feel like I'm a straight up firefighter, just putting out fires every day. I wake up, there's probably 5 new problems sitting in my email, and I find, like, for me, one day it used to really stress me out. But now I'm at the point where it just is what it is. And now it's like a comfortable thing. It's just, all right, next day, let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, no, 100. You're absolutely correct on that. And, that's a big thing that, when I give talks and when I talk to my people internally, I think that there's a really powerful message that a lot of people, just don't talk about because it's not sexy and it's not attractive, and that you got to kind of like the pain. You got to be for punishment to do this. If you want to chill and you just want to have a good time and you want to relax, that's cool. Like that's who I look to hire. Like, come on, just send me your resume. You can come work for me, but don't fool yourself. Don't try to be something that you're not. And don't try to be a star entrepreneur if it's not in you. It's not going to make you happy, and you do have to have that little bit of glutton for punishment, and be willing to deal with that. And for the folks that really do enjoy that, it's not, we joke, say, oh yeah, you got to love the pain, but realistically it's the outcome. It's the solving the problem. It's the desire to do the right thing and to figure something out. I think that's what, is that hole that needs to be filled for people that sit there and really go after it and play the game instead of chase the money.
I agree. As much as the pain sucks, man, like every time that we've been in a situation where we're just like, what the fuck is what are we going to do? It's like, that's when we have our greatest achievements, and it always takes us to the next level. Yeah. And like, when you have to hustle, you have no choice to hustle. That's when the greatest stuff will come out of you.
100%. And that's, back to it again, if you punt on all of this stuff, if you punt on the glamour, you start to really see what the game is about. And, it's just about putting in the work and solving the problems and having fun. I mean, if that's not fun to you, then do something else. But just expect that that's what you're going to have to deal with, and be cool with that and enjoy it. I mean, look, work-life balance is something I've spent a lot of time on in the last year and a half. And it's been tremendous for me personally. It's been tremendous for my relationship at home with my wife, my relationship with my daughter, and being around a bit more, and not, being so panicked with everything all the time, and making everything feel as heavy as you a lot of times make it feel for yourself. So there's some psychology to that you got to work out if you're going to have some level of balance in your life. But I think that what that boils down to is just having those honest conversations and laying it out and saying, hey, this is what needs to be done. Are you a team? Do you have the same goals? You got to have the same types of conversations with your employees and the people that you work with, your vendors, even, your partners and everything. If you're honest with people and you're dealing with people that are in it for the long haul, the stress really isn't as bad as it might seem, if you do those things and you're honest with yourself. Mm-hmm. So
I want to touch on something and we kind of moved past it a little bit, but you were talking about how you went from being a multimillionaire to flat broke. And then I'm assuming you're back up there again. But what was the biggest transition for you to go from flat broke to getting back up to being a millionaire again? What were your biggest pivot points and kind of how did you work through that to build everything up again? Because a lot of people are broke and then they get stuck and they can't really pull out of that. So I feel like that's something that is that's a huge skill to have, being able to pull out of that.
Well, the biggest thing is just being honest about your situation. I'm not afraid to say it. For the first 6 months when I lost everything, I was food stamps, I had an EBT card. I was taking advantage of every program out there. The way my view on it was, I'm going to get back on my feet. I was paying, $75,000 a year in taxes just off my active income when I was doing all right. I prepaid for this and I wasn't
paid ahead.
I looked at it. I was like, all right, well, I'm not embarrassed to go stand in line and go get a Medicaid card, whatever. I paid for this. It's cool. I had a good perspective on that. And I just was really humbled by the whole thing and sucked it up and just did what I had to do. And I did everything that I needed to do. I mean, I went out and landed a couple consulting clients that were people that were always interested in working with me anyway, and picked up a couple of relationships with people that wanted to invest in stuff that I didn't even want to do. I had no intention of getting back in this game. I was actually really enjoying consulting and the hours, and it was nice. But again, I got that bug, and if you have it, you just have it. And what I've realized in the last several years after all that went down is that money is not something to me that is made. I don't look at it like, oh, I'm going to go make money. I am money. By the nature of the way that I operate, and I don't know what it is in me or why or where it came from, but I just money's a byproduct of everything that I do and the way that I operate my life. So I can't really pinpoint it to what was this aha moment. It was humility. It was having gratitude for the fact that I'm alive and that, it's not like I died. It's not like, in the grand scheme of things, how catastrophic was what happened to me really. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I wasn't a 2-year-old orphan in, Western Africa that, was born with HIV. And that kid, if you listen to Gary Vee, you mentioned Gary Vee, if you're that kid in the grand scheme of things, you're still winning. You had a shot to be a person. And that to me is a really, profound, kind of messed up way of looking at things. But the reality is that it's just that humility, that gratitude, and just not really worrying about the money part. And don't get me wrong. I mean, dude, what a huge ego blow.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Shredded. And that really probably needed to happen. Because who knows, the deal that we were working on that sunk us, was going to make $4.7 million on had that deal hit in a single swoop. I would have been 29 years old, never having lost. I would have blown it at some point anyway. Mm-hmm. That's the way I look at it. So I spent a few $1 million to get an education that is now going to be priceless for me the rest of my life. And so, to long answer to your question is, if you're broke, be cool with it. Don't worry about it. Frankly, nobody gives a shit. So, if it's pride holding you back or fear or whatever it is, if you really want something, have the honest conversation with yourself and everybody around you that you're just going to go after what you want, and who gives a shit? Because people don't really care anyway. Like honestly, when you hear somebody's story and you're like, oh man, that sucks, or oh man, that's great, do you really walk around thinking about it all the time after that? No one cares.
No.
Do your thing.
Yeah. The only time I care is when I'm having a bad day, and I think about there was one interview I saw recently with Tony Robbins where he talked about how he did some business deal. This was actually another. So I'm a fan of Gary Vee, if you guys couldn't tell. But I think it was Gary Vee and Tony Robbins, and he talked about one time right before he went on stage before thousands of people, someone came up to him and said some business deal he had fell apart, and he personally signed for it, and he now owed $120 million. And he said he was literally told that minutes before he entered the stage. And I'm like, that's a bad fucking day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like being told that, and here you are about to walk on this stage. Like, that's a bad day. I'm like, my problems are nothing near that. But other than that, man, I agree with you. No one really cares. And the people that do care, maybe they don't even really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
perspective, I think, is huge. One thing I've noticed, and I could be off on timelines and stuff because, we don't see each other every day or anything like that, is I feel like in the last 12 months ago, or maybe some sort of time period like that, I feel like you have elevated to a new level as an entrepreneur. Even before this call, me and you were talking a little bit about email and stuff like that. And you're like, oh man, I don't even worry about that shit anymore. And it was kind of like, oh yeah, like I feel like maybe 18 months ago, you might have been more hands-on than you are now. And I could be wrong on this. This is just my assumption. But I feel lately like, when I come see you, you're like, oh, I can't do it now. I got jiu-jitsu. Or I'm spending time with my family. I feel like you've got to the point where now your business has like outgrown you in a lot of respects, and you've got a lot of good people in there, a lot of good systems, so that things are able to run without you.
Yeah, and you know what? That's another time too where, and I struggled with this about 6 months ago, and you're definitely right about that. But 6 months ago, I was really struggling, and it was like your kid growing up and moving out is the way that must feel. Is I was starting to look around the business, and I was coming in early every day and jumping into people's projects with them. And I realized that I'm hurting these projects. I'm not helping anymore. Wow, they don't need me. They're better than I am. And it hurt. It did. It like hurt. I was like, I'm not needed anymore. But that's not true. I'm just needed in a different way. And I brought in some phenomenal operational people. Tyler, you met most all of them at this point. Just incredible operators, people that are far more skilled than I am. But they still look to me to lead and provide vision and help them see the whole field. And I had the perspective to do that. It's my business. My partner Travis and I have laid out the vision, and we know exactly what we want to do. We know exactly where we're trying to go, and that's really what people need. If you're leading, they don't need you to come in and do their job for them. The people who do shouldn't be working for you anyway. Folks that that can really operate, they need someone to see the field from them. I mean, look, the offensive tackle isn't telling the middle linebacker on defense, how to do his job, but they're all on the same team, and they're all trying to do the same thing, and all trying to win a championship, and that's the way I'm looking at it now. It's taken some adjusting to really get used to that, but you have to do it to scale. If you want to, you want to build $100 million business, $1 billion business, the shit isn't happening sitting in your living room, scheduling email campaigns and building funnels. I hate to tell you, but it's not. You got to
That's true.
Be to a different level, and if that's what you want to do, and that's what I want to do, and I'm willing to go all in on that, and that means sometimes taking a back seat to the talent that you've entrusted. I got a really, really good piece of advice a few weeks ago, when looking at that too, because this is the other hard part is I've got a lot of people that, I really love and respect and that have brought me to where I am. And, one of the challenges and growth right now I'm dealing with is kind of the folks that have been there a long time working with the newer teams and some of the more experienced hired gun type folks that I've brought in is, they're necessary to get to the next level. The piece of advice that I got was from, the CEO of a $1 billion valuated company in our space. They're biggest guys in the game. And he said to me, sometimes the people that got you to where you aren't going to be the people that get you where you want to go. And I took that to heart. And, it's just the truth. And, you got to be willing to take a step back, both trusting the people that are going to get you to where you want to go, but sometimes at the same time, cutting ties with people that got you to where you are. So it's a tough thing. It's nice that I get more time with my family. I get more time to train and kind of work on some of the stuff in my personal life and health that I've been wanting to do, but it's also emotionally very challenging to give that up and to give up a lot of that control. So it's been quite a journey. It's been fun.
Yeah, man, I can imagine. I really like that quote too, or what you just said. The people that got you here might not be the people you need to get you to that next level. That's something to really think about.
Yeah, and it's tough, man. It's tough because I was just reading an article. I think it was in Inc. magazine about scaling, and a lot of people hire their friends and family early on in their companies, and it was about I think it was Inc. magazine, is how to let them go, and how to move on from those people, because we started out with a lot of friends, a lot of family, and it's caused a little bit of stress within our organization where you have some of these, like I said, legacy people that they still have their place, but now they have a boss that isn't you.
Yeah.
And that, I'm sure, is tough psychologically and emotionally for some of those people sometimes. But you know what? Hey, it's what's best for the greater good. And as Matt Burnett always says, Tyler, I'm sure you've heard this one, rise.
Yeah.
So
anything for Matt Burnett is a good one, man.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to eat those words too, aren't I?
Yeah, anybody that was at Monetization Mastery, Rico's event, got to see Matt on stage, and he's a pretty funny character. Anybody that can make an hour and 15 minutes on compliance entertaining is, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So one thing I think is important is kind of bring it back, man, and bring it down to, obviously you're at this level with a kabillion companies and stuff like that. But I know a lot of people listen to this, it's been really amazing since we've started this podcast, and it hasn't been long. I think we started a month and a half ago, Gabe?
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah, so we had over 4,000 people listen to this, and people so far are liking it. And one of the biggest things we're hearing is people starting their companies for the first time, and it's been kind of really surprising. Probably every 2 or 3 days, someone messages us, or even someone I know. They'll be like, hey, I saw that you're doing this podcast thing. I launched my Shopify store. I got a couple sales, or you know what, I'm just going to get up and launch my Shopify store. So it's been really interesting to see how people who before, never knew where to get started actually, they put their foot out there, and at least they got the process rolling. So bringing it down to the everyday dude or someone who doesn't have a lot of experience online and wants to get online, where do you think is a good place for them to kind of dip their toe in and start figuring this stuff out?
I think there's context to that that's really important in what it is you want to do. If you want to go lowest common denominator, you first have to figure out what you want. Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And, I think a lot of it starts on social. I'm a big, big believer in figure out what your passion is and start documenting on Instagram, start documenting on Facebook. If you're, in the music business or want to make music stuff, Musically, Steve, what else is out there? There's, a ton of other apps and tools that you can get into, and just start producing content and see what people react to. I believe in betting on yourself. I happen to be very data driven. I was always, when I played baseball, I always, was basically in charge of scouting for our team. I was always into stats and numbers, and I went with that. That was me. But I think that if you're into something, if you're into cooking, if you're into fashion, if you're into, pets and animals, whatever it is, whatever you're passionate about, start making content, start documenting what you're into, and see what kind of reactions you get. I think you'll be really, really surprised at the level of feedback that's out there. I mean, it's incredible, the depth of connections that you can make online. I've had so many older folks, these kids these days, they're all buried in their phones and da-da-da-da-da. But, I don't agree. I think that some of the connections are incredibly deep. I think we're moving more to a virtual reality world anyway. That's based on virtual and augmented reality. There's no doubt about it in my mind that that's where it's going. And so, leverage those platforms, leverage what's out there to get the feedback you need. You have billions of people online that will be your focus group and tell you what you should be doing if it's in a vertical that you're passionate about. And I think that that's where, anybody that doesn't have two nickels to rub together, but they got an idea and they have a passion, it's free. It's just your time. Go start doing it.
And on that point, it's so much easier to come out with content that you already know. So we have a couple stores, and I'm not overly passionate about either one of them. So for me to come up with content for that store, for Instagram or Facebook or something like that, I have to dig for it. If it was something I would be interested in, like cars, I could come up with stuff nonstop all day, every day, and talk about everything. So it's definitely the least path of the resistance if you're into it.
Yeah, no, and that's the main thing. And you can look, those deltas that you move down will offer other tributaries. They will, and where you start is not where you're going to end up. And never.
Garen, I'm a huge believer in that. In fact, everything I believe I'm doing today is just preparing me for tomorrow.
Yep.
And it's proven that also.
Yeah, the first move is just do it. Stop sitting around trying to come up with the perfect idea, the perfect concept. Document what you're already doing, see what people think about it, and you're gonna find something to sell. I've just found this out. There's this huge community of women worldwide that are just obsessive about different types of gel nail polishes. And there's these huge communities online, hundreds of thousands, millions of women that get together and talk about different colors and shades and styles and patterns. Gel nail polish.
Yeah.
How much more specific can we get here?
Yeah.
There's millions of potential customers. And the beauty is unlike, even 15 years ago, 10 years ago, you can reach them all easily.
Very easily.
If you're good and you have a lot of talent and you have a lot of passion for something, you just get out and do it. Go do it and watch. The people will come to you. It's what I find is the people that don't do it are afraid of the success or afraid of failing, which the consequences of both are really the same. Their attention, and if you want to hide and you don't want that attention, be it positive or negative, and you're a little afraid of it and timid, you're not an A player. You're not an entrepreneur. Don't do it. I mean, Tyler, you and I have talked about it a million times. I've avoided press like the plague.
Yeah.
Getting me to do this is this is a new thing for me. And I'm only doing these things and getting out and letting people interview me and doing talks and speaking in front of people because I know it's what I need to do to get to the level that I want to go to. It's inevitable. If I get as big as I want to get, it's coming either way. So, I'm just out here doing what I need to do and for my business. And you just can't be scared of it. You just got to get out and just do what you need to do. And you're going to fall on your face. You're going to make shit of yourself a few times, but at the end of the day, like we talked about earlier, nobody really cares. Nobody remembers, They only remember winners.
Yeah. What's actually very interesting is we've asked, obviously, this question or similar questions to every single person we've interviewed, and it's always come back to some version of focus on your strengths.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Always. If you know what I mean, it's just the exact same shit every single time. There's absolute truth in that. I'm a firm believer. Everyone else we've interviewed is a firm believer So I think that's something people really got to take to heart. You know, it's actually funny. A friend of mine locally, we've been, you know, he has an entrepreneurial side to him, but he's never been able to make something work long term. And he's had these, you know, these good little hits where in 1 month he'll make 30 grand or whatever it is, but then he just hasn't been able to be consistent with it. And so me and him have chatted a lot about it, because I've seen this huge ball of opportunity just not being utilized to the level it could be. And he's working for a company right now, and he's crushing it in there. He's been there maybe a year. I think his sales numbers are like 4x what they expect someone to do in their first year. In fact, they're having them train multiple divisions, and this is a $100 million public company. So a fair-sized company, and this new guy comes in, does things just a little bit differently and kills it. And I'm like scratching my head. I'm like, you can do it for a company. You've done this several times. You've been a rising star, but you've never been able to do it for yourself. And then I kind of realized it was because what he does at work and what he does when he's working for himself were two different approaches. As soon as he went for to build his own company and do his own thing, he would lose sight of what he was actually good at. So as soon as he was in a position where, you know, he knew his job and what he had to do, he was able to leverage his skills, which for him was business development. And when I first told him that, he came back to me a month later and he's like, man, when you told me that, he's like, you pretty much sank my boat, man. I felt down. He's like, I was somewhat depressed about it, because he's like, oh, that's all I am is business development. But he's like, I really had to reframe it in my mind. And so now he's approached it, and, you know, he's telling me about some things he's working on and stuff, but it's his strength that's going to lead him to success and help him move forward. And he's already making some deals and making some pathways by focusing on what he's good at, which is for him business development. So I'm a huge believer that focusing on your strength is the key to growing something.
And 100%, you know, look, people are going to, we live in a world where, you know, everybody's reading self-help books and well, this is the way to do it. And there's not a way to do it. There's your way to do it, and what's comfortable for you and what's practical for you. And look, I happen to be a, you know, you don't laugh at me, but interdimensionalism and interstellar space travel hobbyist, right?
Yeah.
I'm never going to.
12 dimensions, right?
11.
Bro, I love alien shit, so I'm on the same page as you. So
if you take out time, there's only 10. So
yeah, so you were paying attention. Good.
Was.
You know, but I'm never gonna have the physics chops to like make an impact in the world in that. But that's ultimately where I'm trying to go, is to be involved in those discussions, and you know, it's a hobby of mine, something I'm very, very passionate, interested in. So what am I doing? I'm using my strengths, which are putting the dots together from a business perspective and how to make money in fields that are, you know, that tie into that: data science, social engineering, you know, artificial intelligence, machine learning. And I'm doing those things not because I'm good at those things, but because I'm passionate about the potential outcomes of those technologies. And, you know, I just want to be around it. But I'm not going out and trying to be an astrophysicist. You know, I'm building businesses with people that have those skill sets so that we can build products that can first make money, and making money gives you some level of power and some level of influence. And then from there, you know, be a part of a bigger discussion. And that's just what I want to do for me. But I'm going about it in a way that leverages, you know, my strengths, not trying to be something that I'm not. And you know, it doesn't matter what you're into. If you're into, you know, interstellar space travel, or if you're into graphic novels, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, find out how you can take your strengths and be involved in what it is you're passionate about. And when you have that guiding light and that view and clear direction that you want your life to go in, you know, you have to go after it in a way that fits you. So, you know, we're 100% on the same page with that. I think everybody with a pulse and that has any experience in business whatsoever will find that to be true no matter what. I'm sure that's why you get the same answer all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt, right?
Very true.
Next question I have for you is, where do you see the online space going? Like, as far as like the opportunities that are out there for people to get involved and get started. And obviously they go approach it from where they're strong. But what are some of the opportunities you're seeing right now in this space?
Well, how far you want to look? Short term, long term, medium term? Short term, I think websites are dead. Funnels are the only thing that, work. And eventually that will move on from something.
Do you mind explaining what a funnel is?
Yeah, a lead gen funnel, something other than, website, about us, blah, 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 and the informational model that you see even the Web 2.0 world is going to go away. It's going to be landing pages, interstitial pages, lead flows. Information is you have to have multiple touch points with people. And if you're basing everything on a landing page or everything on a website, and you're not integrating your funnels and your flows with social, with mobile, and for us in our case, even going terrestrial back to radio, and other touch points besides just a website, you're in trouble. And look at the domain extensions that we're seeing these days. I don't think I haven't bought a .com in over a year. They're pointless. And everything that we build around these things are very, very specific. We're not giving these large, content-based properties and putting them in front of people. Intent, depth, hyper-targeted, very specific, and ideally based on some sort of pattern recognition, data science, and real-time analytically driven touch point to whatever consumer you're trying to target. That's where it's going in the short term. In the medium term, I think the virtual reality stuff, the gamification, the integration of tech and clothing, wearables, all that stuff is going to open up some new opportunities. It already is, not necessarily for the masses at this point, but they're coming. And then at the end of the day, I heard a really great talk a couple of weeks ago. I can't say where it was. It was at a private meeting, but the private individual. But he was talking about in the next 100 years, us actually engineering our own evolution and putting biotechnical markers and actual technology integrated into our biological form, to where from a marketing perspective and a data analytics and business perspective, we'll be able to have every single thing we want when we want it, totally on demand, without taking any action. Truly thought-based, real-time, on-demand service. That's kind of the long term of where I think things are going. But you probably don't want me to get too weird with that and start confusing people.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating to think about.
Oh, it's happening.
That's really cool. So is it the idea of a product instead of the actual physical form of a product?
Well, it's thinking up a product and thinking what you want and having it be there. And then even one step further, the product being to you before you've even thought you want it, because statistical and biological markers know that you're going to want it and need it.
Crazy.
There is a really, really, really difficult ethical line that we're going to have to face at some point. But if you want to get real weird with it and start talking about, survival as a species, and, engineering our own evolution, those questions are going to have to get tackled. But for right now, if you're selling a product or creating a lead, keep it super specific.
Yeah.
Very, very
gel nails.
Gel nails.
Yeah, gel nail polish.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
funny.
Retractable dog leashes with flashlights and waste disposal attachments.
Yeah. Didn't talk
idea
about that one for? How'd you find that one? This is a good little tip for people. That's how come I thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, so I was talking to Tyler, and Tyler was telling how much money he's making in Shopify stores. I was watching one of Adrian Morrison's videos, and I'm like, these fucking guys making all this money over here. I'm banging my head against the wall trying to, split the figurative atom with machine learning and data processing. These guys are over here, buying Rolls Royces and shit. What am I doing wrong with my life? Like, what I'm plowing money into stuff that, may or may not ever turn into anything. And I'm watching these guys make money. So let me look at what they're doing. So I stayed up late one night and was tooling around online. And I said, let me look at what's going on Amazon, what products are selling. And, I'm a big believer that kids and pets are always going to be recession proof. And so I started looking at pet products. And I found the number 2 rated product for everything in dog accessories. We were looking at dogs specifically. It was this dog leash, retractable dog leash product that had a flashlight on it, and it had a little, trash bag for your dog poop holder. And they were selling for $13.95. So I went and started digging around and looking for ads online for it. I started finding where they were marketing it, mostly on sponsored Amazon ads. And I saw, some of the targeting that you could do on Facebook. Nobody was selling the stuff. The bids were super cheap. So I was like, okay, this is a product that, maybe I can come and undercut the price on. So I went to Alibaba and I started digging around. I found the exact product. This guy didn't have the logo and the markings on it trademarked. There was nothing there. It was just, here's this product. You can buy it for $2, minimum 1,000 order from from Alibaba. I'm going to go put these things in a Shopify store. After advertising costs, I'll be in for about $5.50 a unit. After shipping, I'll be into them for about $7 a unit, all in. And I can undercut Amazon's price and do some real super targeted Facebook ads on this thing, beat their price by $1, offer free shipping, and make $5 a piece. I didn't do it just because I don't have time to do it, but it definitely would work. It's the kind of thing where I was like, okay, I see what these guys are doing. I'm just not a product person, man. I don't like housing inventory and having to worry about stuff and people getting their stuff on time and, handling customer service calls and all that. That's not my forte. But if you're willing to do that, that was 2.5 hours of internet surfing. And I found what could have been, with the buys we could have done on Facebook and how many sales had been done on Amazon. You could have been making $2-3 grand a day doing that.
And that is how you find a product and put it on Shopify and start making sales.
Yes.
Was just, it's so funny that you didn't even do that. It's just, you gave the rundown of basically how we've sort of started doing it when we got into this, and just, that was perfect.
Yeah, that's how come I thought it'd be cool for you to lay that out, because that's exactly what we did. We found a product that was selling hot and went overseas, found it in China, ordered a bunch and started selling it ourselves. That was it. And just simply looking on Amazon for, I think you can probably type best-selling dog products.
Well, let's take it a step further, right? Let's say you don't have, let's say you don't have 10 grand to buy product and stand up a store and have a little advertising budget to start, right?
Yeah.
My thought on that was, okay, why don't I go and I review the top, and this is the next place my mind went, by the way. If I were trying to stand something up for my cousin or something, here's a business for you, here's an idea, and they didn't have the money to do that, go ahead and make an ebook reviewing the top 20 dog products on Amazon. Go buy Morrison's mobile opt-in software. Call him up, cut a deal with him, beat him up, and say, hey, Anthony, you rich prick, I can't afford $2,700. Maybe you can give it to me for $1,000. I'll give you a few points on the back end. Go beat him up a little bit on a deal on the front end. Go make an ebook, review all the products, and sell that on mobile opt-in. Build an email list around it, and then start sending those products to people with an Amazon affiliate link in it. It costs you nothing. Instead of being for 10 grand, you can be in for 1,500, and have a partner on the back end. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. There's a million different ways. You don't need money. It's just time. Are you willing to put time in? Are you willing to make the effort to do the research, to understand what it is you want to do? And if you're really, really smart and you get that going and it's a little side hustle to start putting some money in your pocket, maybe you got a night job to boot. And in between, you're posting on social media with your passion projects, opportunities will start coming. They just come. Again, I mentioned earlier that money is the exhaust of the work. It's just what comes. Well, opportunity is the exhaust of putting in the effort.
Yeah.
I have people tell me all the time, like, oh, you're so lucky. You just found this business. You're so lucky. No, the truth of the matter is, if I was selling life insurance in South Florida, I'd be, the biggest life insurance agent in town. If I were selling cars, I'd be the best car salesman in town. If I were, a high school math teacher, I'd be the most popular high school math teacher that ever fucking lived. It doesn't matter. I would just put the work in, and that's the big differentiator is how much effort are you willing to put in. And again, we mentioned that I did that because I'm bored. I went and looked that process up because you told me you were making a bunch of money on Shopify. I wanted to see what it was about.
Note to self: don't tell Jeff anything.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not going to do it. That's the beauty of it. I'm just going to go.
I'd be fine with it.
What the hell he's doing?
Yeah.
No, I thought that was great, man. That quick rundown, I think, is an excellent breakdown of how a lot of people can start at least understanding how it's possible for them to start building an online business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find what's popular, see what it costs on Alibaba, and go from there. Like, it's not hard to figure all this stuff out. Like you said, in 2.5 hours, you found something that probably generate $2,000 to $3,000 a day.
Yeah, all day. I mean, look, the numbers were there. The data was there. I mean, it wouldn't take a rocket science to work backwards on the math to reverse engineer how much money you could make on that. That was a cool product. It would have been something fun to sell. I don't even think, didn't we look it up and it was like now like the 18th ranked product or whatever?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's on like the 3rd page now. It sucks now, but who cares? You could have had a hot run with it. Sold 30,000 units, made some money. And again, that's the delta that would have led into that other tributary that now you found this product. That it's intoxicating too. Winning is fun.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Who cares about how big of a win or how small of a win it is? Winning is fun. So that's the main thing.
It's funny too, that process you outlined. We had another guy named Cameron. We did a episode with him, and his first year doing Shopify, he did 4 million, and it was the exact same thing. He found his methodology to his approach was like a slightly different, but basically what he saw was, that hairbrush that would like iron a girl's hair while she's brushing it.
It was like a hair straightener brush.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he saw that was a hot selling item. He put up a Shopify store, made a couple of video ads, ran them on Facebook, and I think his biggest day he did like $57,000 in sales. He did $4 million basically off that product, and exact same approach. Found something that was working, figure out how to source it, and then went at it.
All right, guys, I gotta go look up a new product for Shopify.
That's so funny.
Oh man. The other thing I really liked what you said too is just being in the space for the opportunities to happen. When you're involved and you're started and you're actually doing something, opportunities, totally will come. You'll connect with people. They'll share their tips with you, their tricks, which is almost counterintuitive. You think a lot of people would hold everything close to their chest, which a lot of people do. But when you're in the market and you're out there and people are seeing you trying to make something work, you'd be surprised how much help you get along the way.
Well, and that's another interesting dynamic too. And I think we're seeing a paradigm shift with that. When I was coming up in business, everything was really cutthroat. Nobody wanted to help anybody. And there is this bit of a revolution going on. And, a lot of it's led by Gary, who, we all listen to and we all follow. And it's really about, the giving aspect of it. I mean, that's always been something that I've been about. I've never been a big fan of like, oh, I'm not going to tell you this. There's nothing fucking proprietary about any of this. We live in the information age. Nobody here is outsmarting the top engineers at Facebook and Google, and nobody here is, outfoxing, the leaders of retail and e-tail. It's just not happening, right? These guys have too many resources. Why does a guy like Gary Vaynerchuk give his stuff away for free? Because he knows that 99% of the people aren't going to do it. And so they're not a threat. And the 1% that do will have gratitude towards him for the information and giving it. And that creates opportunity for him. And I've inherently always felt that was the case, that there's so much more power in giving information and helping people than holding on tightly to some tactic that's going to work for the next 6 months. And then you're scrambling to fill the hole when it changes anyway. Things move too quickly. Platforms change too fast. I mean, shit, I've been doing email for 13 years. And, the one thing I can tell you about it is that I've watched it become less and less and less effective year over year over year. Still one of the greatest ROIs in all of advertising, period. But it's deteriorating, and it's becoming something that, only a certain audience is really paying attention to, unless your content is just off the charts and you have real depth with that consumer. You have to be in different places. And we also hear a ton of information about how much it costs to get that attention. Well, inboxing these days is getting more and more expensive, more and more difficult. So the ROI is shrinking on email. I'm not going to sit here and act like I have all the secrets to email and I'm the guy that knows everything. And, I'm not going to share, because guess what? I want to get into other stuff, Tyler. That's how you and I got in business together. Had I not been that open person, and had I not been somebody that you could trust, you would have never came to me with your idea for us to work together. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, actually, man, that whole thing of you giving, that's how come I felt comfortable. The idea we're talking about is a project we've been kind of working on for a little bit. We've spent a good chunk of money so far, but it has the potential to be a 9-figure business.
And it will be. There's no question in my mind. I mean, the team we have behind it, unless somebody comes in and wants to buy it off us, before it becomes that, but be it us or whoever else, that business will be a 9-figure business. It's enormous opportunity. But again, that cuts in a few different ways. We'd always been very open with one another, sharing information. It made you comfortable enough to share the idea with me. And then once I got to put it in front of my team of people way smarter than both of us, went from being this thing that we thought was going to be a good business to being something that now could be absolutely enormous. And that doesn't happen without, having an open relationship with people and being honest with people and being able to conversate at a level that says, hey, I'm somebody you can trust, be trustworthy. Because, in today's day and age, if you're not real, people sniff right through it. That's why there's influencers. That's why nobody watches TV anymore. I haven't had cable in 3.5 years. It's so fake. Why would I watch TV and watch fake shit? I get my content, and what I actually consume is all real and stuff that can benefit me. It's not, I don't go to sporting events anymore. I punted sports years ago. I get it for some people as a release and, an escapist kind of thing. But I don't want to pay my hard-earned money to watch a bunch of overpaid avatars run around a field or a court that don't give a shit about me. They don't care. They could care less about me, when there's this whole other community of people out here that are producing just as entertaining and more substantive content that I can actually have a relationship with. And so that's where my attention goes these days.
Man, that's interesting. I never thought of that before. Cool. It makes sense, though.
Yeah. You got to opt in. Hey, man, look, we're all going to die. You got to opt
that's true.
Optimize your time, optimize your performance, put yourself in a position not just to benefit yourself and your family, but to benefit our species and the idea of life, in general. Is such an amazing thing. Gotten really into, like I said, science the last few years, and really, really into astrophysics and just the way that the universe is constructed. And, it's given me a lot of purpose in understanding the scope of what we know, which is still this tiny, tiny, tiny bit of information. If you look at that, it's so humbling and so easy to say, wow, I don't want to waste 1 second of this time that I have, to be alive, and how special life actually is. So that, I think if people take a look at that, it'll help them in business, it'll help them in their interpersonal relationships, and it'll help them with their happiness. And I think that that's the most important thing. And we need to be focused on that first, and then the rest of it can come.
Cool.
Makes sense, man. I like it.
So what's up, guys? What's the deal with you, Gabe?
Yeah.
What are you working on over there?
Working on this podcast, man. Trying to get this thing to the next level. Just grinding away on Shopify, And yeah, that's pretty much about it, man.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great. It's fun.
Or what?
Pardon?
You gonna come back to Florida soon? Jet Ride's got a bunch of skis ready for you.
Oh yeah, so we need to talk about Jet Ride. That was just getting started when I was down there. The big Humvee was parked out front with Jet Ride all over it.
It's blowing up, man. It's crazy. I really, I knew it was gonna be good. I didn't think it was gonna be this good, this fast.
Yeah.
And what I told my business partner Travis when he was looking for ideas for our next thing, I said, what are you excited about? And he races jet skis professionally. At least he did until we started this business. I told him he's not allowed to anymore. He's got to focus on the business.
Makes sense.
He's super passionate about it. Been racing since he was a kid. He loves the water lifestyle, loves being on the water. And, so he took that and I said, go out and find the white space. Where's the opportunity? And he found it. Jet Ride is a membership type business where we have this app. If you're in South Florida, locations like I said, downtown West Palm's our primary location. It's beautiful. You get to walk down the public docks out there. Our boats are out there. If you're a customer, you have the app. You pay an initiation fee. You pay a monthly fee. 5 rolling reservations. But you just text us or submit your reservation. Walk up to the ski. Boom, boom. Press a button, ski unlocks, and you're jet skiing for 4 hours, man. It's awesome. It's we have all the best equipment in the world: Yamaha GPs, FXs, EXs, their FSH center console boat. We have the wake boat, all jet propelled, and it's amazing equipment, amazing service, and we're bringing an element of technology to a space that a Freedom Boat Club or any of the other membership type organizations you'd work with for on the water lifestyle. Our technology is just light years ahead of that market, and we think that it's going to be a massive business. And the market, the way it's responded down here already, is demonstrating that we were right about that.
That's super cool. I remember when we were down there was a video of your partner riding a jet ski in a pool. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, one of our guys that works for us, Chris Anaseski, is a very world-renowned, big-time freestyle jet ski guy on stand-ups. And at our Super Bowl party this year, he did a backflip in the pool. It was amazing. It was just absolutely incredible. I caught it on drone footage. We got it on slow-mo. If anybody, if you guys want to check out Jet Ride on Facebook, it's there and you can see it. It's an unbelievable feat. My main thing was with Chris, thank God he did a test run and I'd heard that he was comfortable with it, but I was like, guys, let's not do this. We haven't even got the company off the ground yet.
Insurance liability.
Yeah,
exactly. But he's world class. Chris is,
yeah,
he's been one of the top riders in the world for many years, and he said he was very comfortable with it. So
I'll add that link to your Facebook page in our the little write up about you here when we put this live. So one question that I ask everyone: I'm a car dude, love cars, love automotive shit. Are you into that at all? Do you have a dream car? Anything like that?
So I have my dream car right now. It's a 2002 Honda Odyssey minivan.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Dad life.
Oh yeah. It's hard as shit. Yeah, no, I have my truck. I have a GMC Sierra, and my wife, she got in a car accident on Christmas Eve and totaled. She had her X5 that she was in love with.
Yeah.
And that got totaled, so I gave her the truck, and I for like 3 weeks was Ubering everywhere, and I loved it so much that I just haven't bought another car yet. And so I called my business partner who had given the van to Jet Ride for them to tote stuff around and all that. He gave that back to me, so I'm back in the minivan. But if I had a dream car, I mean, I would just, I'm not a super car guy, but I'd say a Tesla. I mean, to have that kind of performance out of a purely electric vehicle is awesome, and I think what the company's doing is awesome. Definitely that. Or if I'm just being an asshole, truthfully, I don't know why I've always loved them since I was a little kid, but the 56 red with white inset convertible Corvette.
Nice. Yeah.
That would be something that would be in my collection for our collecting card. My business partner, Travis, is a car junkie.
Yeah.
Go inside his house. It's like always something new. He's got one of the sickest Jeeps you've ever seen. He's got the H1 Hummer. He's got the Range Rover. He had sold it a couple of years ago, but he had a 1100 horsepower 2008 Corvette that had this iron block that was warranted up to 2000 horsepower.
Wow.
That was I rode that a few times. Horrifying.
Oh, I could only imagine.
I would have written that thing off in the first week, wrapped it around a pole.
You would have loved it, man. If you're in you and Trav should get together and talk, man. I mean,
yeah,
seriously.
Yeah, he'd be an interesting dude to have on the podcast too. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to him about get up with him in like 6 months, and he's not allowed out of the office yet. But when this thing's coming, you guys are gonna want to hear the jet ride story. It's incredible. The guys that are involved in it are incredible, and
yeah, it's
super, super cool. Actually, a perfect example of what we're talking about passion and going all in on something. They did 6-8 months of content before they even bought a boat or even finished their business plan. They had an idea of what they wanted out of it. And so I encouraged them to go buy some drones and cameras and do all this stuff to produce content. And that's what they did. And they built a community. So the second that we launched, that community was right there waiting and ready to buy. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
You know what, man?
The
That's
audience before the business.
Absolutely. I've been talking to a business consultant lately about that exact topic. He's very focused on, building his funnel and stuff like that. And, his funnel isn't quite converting. And one thing I've been trying to get him to, keep in mind is don't lose focus of, the people that have already gone through your funnel, continually to feed them content to build your brand, because maybe they didn't buy now, but that could totally change in 6 months.
Well, no, and that's what we were talking about before. Like, what's your passion? And just start making content around it. Your audience will present itself. They'll tell you what they want. The people that pay attention to the niche that you're pushing, they're going to let you know what you should be selling. And you could start out as an affiliate. You could start out as an influencer. And ultimately, look at how many people, what's the Ipsy girl? What's her name? She started teaching people how to put makeup on. Now she's got, she's worth tens of millions of dollars, funded to the teeth. Would she sell to L'Oreal or one of those companies?
Probably.
She sold to somebody big. She's all over every publication in the world, living a dream life. And it just started from her putting makeup on online.
That's crazy.
She was into.
And there's so many people doing that. That's not even a new concept by any stretch.
No, she just was better than everybody. Well, then, then we get to the differentiator of how good are you?
Yeah.
She was the best, and that's the best it gets. But even if you're not the absolute best, if you're doing something you love every day and you can get up and you make $150,000 a year doing what you like to do, like,
that's a no-brainer.
That does not suck.
No, not at all. It's a good situation.
It could happen.
All right, so I got one more question for you, and I think we're getting close to the wrap-up time here. But Tyler was telling me this one time, and I think it was your office, but can we talk about the homeless guy that was living in your elevator?
Well, I just found it's tough, man. You have your property, and then you have, your empathy, and that has been a little bit of a struggle. We own that building down there in Jupiter, and it's a little bit sucks for me because I want to help these people, but it's a very transient area, and you can't help everybody. But yeah, we had a guy living in our elevator, and he wasn't just living in it; he was defecating in it as well.
And this is an elevator, like if you guys ever see where Jeff's building at, it's like a 2-story. It's like a little walk up. Well, it's not small; it's pretty fair size, but you don't take the elevator, you take the stairs. The elevator is probably just there for handicap purposes. So No one was even going in there, right?
No, nobody was going in there. And we had to keep it unlocked during business hours, and because it was open during business hours, we just didn't even consider to like lock it every night, and that was really gross. I'm glad that I didn't have to deal with that personally. But we just found, there were some more homeless people living behind the dumpsters. So we actually have been working with a couple organizations to, provide some money and some food and some opportunities for potentially, getting a shelter going in the area. Because
that's cool.
It's a great neighborhood. It's a beautiful place. It's on a very busy crossroads. And like I said, a very transit area. There's a bus stop there. And I feel bad for the folks, man. It's tough, living on the street, and I've talked to a couple of them. Their circumstances are, it's not bad people a lot of times, just people who had a rough go of it and are in an in-between situation. But just, you can sleep in my elevator. Just, you don't have to shit in
it. Who cleaned it up?
Honestly, I don't even remember. I think they called the cleaning company, and that guy, Jeff, you're the man. Plug to Jeff Cleaning here in Jupiter, Florida.
Yeah. Big shout out. Big thank you on that one.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. All right. Well, Tyler, you got any more questions, or should we wrap her up here?
I think we got to wrap her up. Jeff's got a multi-million-dollar empire to run, so we don't want to take up too much more of his valuable time. Plus, since he's going to be researching Shopify products all night tonight, we want to give him more time to do that.
He's got to learn about some more dimensions too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Jeff might find the 13th dimension after Fernando finds the 12th.
I think that's a good number.
A little more. It's scary to think about, man. We'll get, next time we get together, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, it's both exciting to talk about and interesting, but at the same time, absolutely horrifying, and makes you feel incredibly, incredibly small. So
I like stuff like that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Jeff. Everyone listening to this podcast, definitely feel free to reach out to us. If you have any questions for Jeff, we could probably pass them along to you. He did mention resumes, so don't hit us up for that. I don't know how you'll find out about that. But anyways, thanks for listening. To get in touch with us, again, we got Instagram, we got Facebook. If you give us a review on Apple iTunes, that'd be very much appreciated. We actually read those. And people have been messaging us on Facebook, and we message back. So feel free to reach out. We're going to be providing some cool stuff shortly to help you guys along. And just let us know what you like. Kind of like the advice we're giving people. See what the market wants. We're trying to eat and breathe and live that. So if there's something you like, if there's content you like, we have access to a lot of different people than you might, hence the reason you're listening to this. So let us know. We'll go out and go through our database, see who's out there, bring them on, and make sure to pepper them with some questions that could help you out. So follow up. Again, Jeff, thanks for your time. Gabriel, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And we'll wrap it up.
Awesome.
Awesome.